Hey guys, welcome to my channel. And in this video, we are going to talk about Board of Peace, a new body that President Trump launched around Davos, originally tied to Gaza. But now it is described that it's gonna be something else. This could expand beyond Gaza too. Now, here's the interesting thing though. When it was in its initial format that yeah, it's just gonna be about Gaza, then everyone was ready. Yes, yes, yeah, let's do it. The moment it was announced that it can extend beyond Gaza, so everyone, last of at least all major powers, they backed out. Okay, they're like, okay, we will see. We don't know. You know what. So all that happened. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about, exactly what this whole entire Board of Peace game is. Actually, this is a game of chess going on. Okay, and if you think that this is going to work, then I will tell you right away, before even getting too deep into the video, that this is not going to work. Okay, now, first of all, first of all let's talk about this, that is this the original idea? Is this an original idea somehow, right? So the answer is that no, it's not an original idea. Okay, and why not? It's not an original idea because a similar thing was done around 1954. A body was created. It was called International Control Commission. Let me share my screen real quick, okay, so that you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, the body was created. It was called International Control Commission. Now, why this body was created? It's abbreviated as ICC. Okay, and international, this the blah blah blah, was an international force established in 1954, more formally called International Commission for Supervision and Control. Okay, the organization was actually organized as three separate but interconnected bodies, one for each territory within the former French Indochina. The ICSC for Vietnam being treated as single state having two temporary administrations. Okay, so it was when French were occupying or had occupied Vietnam, and all kinds of things were happening over there. To stop that, this whole ICC was created. Okay, the ICSC for Laos and ICSC for Cambodia, right? So there were three territories and different territories, and they created this body. In nutshell, my point is not to educate you about in this whole ICC. My point is that this is nothing new. The whole Board of Peace idea, okay? Because uh, now it oversaw the implementation of Geneva Accords that ended the First Indochina War, brought the partition of Vietnam. Okay, it monitored the observance of ceasefires and noted any violations. The organization consisted of delegations of diplomats and military personnel from Canada, Poland, and India, representing the respectively the non-communist, communist, and non-aligned blocs. And India was non-aligned bloc at that time. The ICC, ICSC started well, but the irreconcilable position soon told, and the organization became largely irrelevant in the face of an increasingly active conflict. Meaning that when conflicts started to grow more and more from beside, they started to expand further from further away from Vietnam War, like lots of war. Israel faced lots of war. Then, like if you recall, 1962 Indochina War, then India Pakistan War 1965. All those things, lots and lots of things happen. So this whole body basically collapsed, and nobody really cared about it after that. Okay, now Indochina War is not Indo India and China war here in this case. Okay, you have to understand. You got to read about it. It's a anti-French resistance war in Vietnam. All right, France is involved here in this thing. Now, these are the countries actually. If you notice the hypocrisy, the height of hypocrisy, basically, that these countries, they attack here and there, and then they talk about peace with somebody else. All right, that's why we have even bigger problem. So this thing collapsed. Now, why? So I think that President Trump, who happens to implement lots of historical rules and historical things in right now in during his tenure right now at this point under his presidency, like for example, he went with what, uh, the tariff, the whole tariff thing. Then he went with the Genius Act. Then basically the Monroe Doctrine. Then now this is borrowed straight up from ICC. Hmm? Now, so what exactly is the Board of Peace? I'm just gonna go little bit, and that's about it. Okay, so the Board of Peace basically is that it is being like a uh, presented as the engine, basically the engine that will implement President Trump's Gaza peace plan, which is coordinate, rebuild, and this and that. Jared Kushner actually over there, he had also presented the whole entire slides and all that, and he showed how the Gaza peace plan will be developed. There will be a beach side, then there will be hotels behind it, all the good stuff, feel good things. Okay, and President Trump will be the inaugural chairman. Then also the news is that there will be three-year terms. I mean, there will be temporary 3-year terms. Then there will be a permanent membership. Like if you pay $1 billion, then there will be permanent membership. Now, so what will be the advantage of this whole permanent membership for these permanent members? Nobody knows. Okay. Now, so White House basically also named, we know all that, right? Marco Rubio, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, all the good stuff. Now, then they released the whole entire thing. I'm just looking at the document actually, so that's why I'm a little bit getting lost here. But the whole 20-point document they have talked about, right? So the whole 25-point document is something. Uh, it's right here. If you look at it, let me share my screen real quick. Okay. Now, this is the whole 20-point document with different things in here. So I'm not gonna read all that, and I'll get to it though. Now, who refused? Basically, Spain, Norway, Sweden, Italy, France. Of course, France will refuse. Remember, ICC didn't work out for France. So of course, France is going to refuse it. Britain, Germany, Japan, any country that has some sort of border issue, some sort of war problem or something, something or something, they just haven't applied. Okay. Now, why is that? See, if Britain, Germany, Britain, Germany, and France, they sign and they get into it, then they know that they will be asked to handle the peace process between Russia and Ukraine. They will be asked. But the reality is that it is these three countries who don't want the Ukraine war to Russia Ukraine war to end, because these are the countries actually who are pushing it. They want to drag this thing further. Okay. And there is a whole long story behind the scenes. I'm not gonna get into it. Then Canada actually agreed in principle that yeah, we will do all that thing. But after President Trump's remark about the Mark Carney, uh, that thing also is not gonna pan out. Now Ukraine, its diplomats are basically examining as to if they should sign or not, or they will have to necessarily they will be forced to end the war or not. And then China hasn't said anything. Russia said that uh, yeah, we Russia did not join or anything, but Russia also said that yeah, they will pay $1 billion from the assets that you have seized, so you can take that dollar from there and just take it. That's what President Putin said. And that there is a good reason for it. He wasn't taunting actually. He was just reminding that hey, we don't use dollar. That's what he was basically making a point. Now, uh, so all European Union countries except Hungary and Bulgaria, they other countries basically abstain from this whole accord and all that. All right. So it seems like the start is not very good, and they mostly it is the Middle Eastern countries, and although some of the Islamic countries over there, other Islamic countries in African continent, and what they're doing is that, and lots of those 11 of those countries are actually banned. They have visa restriction in the United States itself. Okay, so that was another a joke that they were talking about. All right, now why I think that this is not going to work. Okay, I will let's talk about that. That is the important part. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe. And I'm not gonna make it too long, okay? This thing has been repeated too many times, but I just actually want to bring up one very clear point that I'm gonna get to it, okay? So just stay with me. The first thing first is why it will fail is the no major power has joined. Okay. There are four great powers: India, China, Russia, and the United States. Out of those four, three haven't joined or said anything about anything. Okay. And there are many reasons for it. I can get into it, but it will be let's actually, you know what? Let's discuss it a little bit. All right. China and India have border issues. China and Russia have border issues. China has, and let's forget about India China issues or Russia China issues. China has a contested territorial problem in Taiwan. Okay. Then India has issues with Pakistan. Something happened last year in May when India bombed the crap out of Pakistan. Within 4 days, Pakistan surrendered. And Pakistan joined the peace accord. Okay, Pakistanis joined the peace accord. They organized the terrorism all over the place, but they joined the peace accord. And let me show you their statement, what they're saying over there. Okay, here, Pakistan expresses the hope that the creation of this framework, concrete steps will be taken towards the implementation of a permanent ceasefire, further scaling up of humanitarian aid of the Palestinians, as well as reconstruction of Gaza. Pakistan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs wrote in a statement. They are so worried about, so concerned about Gaza's implementation of permanent ceasefire, and they are so worried about the Palestinian state. It is this Pakistani army that killed thousands and thousands of Palestinian soldiers. Okay, I mean, I'm not even getting into their terrorist attacks and all those things that they do all over the place. I'm just talking about their atrocities on the Palestinian people themselves. So how is that even concrete, and how is that even, how do I say it, reliable? Right? Can you trust this whole thing? Okay, so this is why. And then Russia and Ukraine issue is going on. So let's say if these things escalate beyond Gaza, what's going to happen? Everybody will be okay. Hey, you resolve your issue, you resolve it. So I mean, it's gonna become a big mess. Okay, that's why all the major powers have stayed away from it. Okay, and then second most important point is that Palestine wasn't even invited into this whole board of peace. Okay, so Belarus. Sorry about that. I had somebody at the door. I had to check. Anyways, so now, and all this is that you see, these are all the terrorist countries that are invited to join the peace accord. Okay, now then you have money clause, $1 billion permanent status. What is this going on? I mean, is this some sort of donation that, hey, give us $1 billion, $1 billion? What is this? So that whole $1 billion thing for permanent status is like play to win type situation. If you play video games, you will see that there is thing in the microtransactions. They set up these play to win situations, right? That's what it seems like. And nobody ever talks about that. Hey, is there a guarantee that, let's say somebody pays $1 billion, and on the fourth year of this whole thing, the entire thing is dissolved? Are they going to get their money back? What is the money back guarantee for this thing? $1 billion is a lot of money. So, and I said, as I said earlier, the 11 countries who signed this are banned in the US. Okay. Then other problem is that Hamas is given the safe passage. Okay. Now, if you read this is the now these are the clips, okay, that I've taken. Okay, Gaza will be de-radicalized terror-free zone that does not pose a threat to its neighbors. See, my problem with this whole entire thing is this right here: de-radicalize. If you understand the ideology, there is no such thing as They don't see these things as radicalized or de-radicalized. It is something that if you are into this outside of that system, then you start to see this thing as a de-radicalized or de-radicalized. Okay, fish doesn't see that it is underwater and it is wet or not. It is you and me who live on a dry land. For us, getting into the water is wet. So they're like fish. For them, being there is no concept of wet. Okay, so that this whole thing here in itself is Gaza will be de-radicalized. My question is this: if Gaza will be de-radicalized, so where all those radicals are gonna go? There is no answer to that. And wherever those radicals go, so who's going to take the responsibility for the security and all that stuff of that region? Let's say these radicals go into Somalia. Who's going to deal with that? So there is no answer for this thing that yeah, Gaza will be de-radicalized terror free zone, but nobody is talking about how Gaza will be de-radicalized, or is it the assumption that Gaza already is a de-radicalized zone? If Gaza already is a de-radicalized terror free zone, then why all that 7th October stuff happened? So there is something not right here, right? Just saying that, hey, you say see a crow, you see a crow and you just want, but you wanted a swan. Okay. So what you decided is that you went to the Sherwin Williams and bought a white paint and you painted your crow white. Now you are saying that, hey, now this is a swan until the crow opens its mouth. So is that pretty much the same thing that they are saying that once all hostages are returned, Hamas members would come who commit to peaceful coexistence, decommission their weapons. Isn't that haven't these things done like hundreds or thousands of times in the past? I mean, Iraq, Syria, Sudan, uh, Iran. I mean, you have done all kinds of operation. All these things have done in Afghanistan. You just take it. But what this thing hasn't been done here, like decommission of their weapons, coexistence, dude, coexistence. If the coexistence was in the genes, dude, don't you think that there wouldn't be any 7th October stuff? Now, I'm not taking sides here. I'm just trying to understand the argument and the logic behind this whole thing. It's like somebody living under the rocks has written this whole entire 20-piece plan. So I don't know how that's gonna pan out. This is why I'm saying that this is gonna fail. But why? Number one reason, this right here, this is a perfect terrorist country right there. You cannot expect this country to not do some crap over there. Okay. Then right here, Gaza will be a de-radicalized thing. How? There is no explanation to this thing. Okay, there is no explanation to that. And whatever mess this whole de-radicalized, all the radicals will be sent somewhere, right? Right now, what's happening? All the radicals are going into Europe. So, which European country is going to take the responsibility for all this, right? Unless they're planning to send them to Jordan or Egypt. Is Jordan going to take them in? No, I don't think so. Or is Egypt going to take them in? No. Or is Somaliland going to take them in? Because somebody somewhere, okay, somewhere there is also this talk going on that Israel was planning to move or relocate the Gaza people to the Somaliland. So is that the case? The Gaza's radicals will be moved to Somaliland. And now Somaliland has UAE's naval base. And there is a lot of I mean, or there is a UAE base, and then UAE has a UAE population is there in Somaliland, and it's a very pretty peaceful country. So how the radicalization is going to impact negatively to that country, who's going to take the responsibility for that? But anyways, So Hamas members who commit peaceful coexistence, good luck. All right. Now next part, this United States will work with Arab and international partners to develop a temporary international stabilization force to immediately deploy in Gaza. The ISF will train and provide support to vetted Palestinian police forces in Gaza. Okay, so vetted Palestinian forces. What will be their job over there, by the way? So now, at first, it was Hamas supporting them, and now it will be the police forces. How are you going to vet them? I mean, these are there are lots and lots of gray areas that are left in this thing, and will consult with Jordan and Egypt. So it is the Israeli matter. So why Jordan and Egypt are here? Consult with them for what? Right? These are the things that nobody is talking about. And who have extensive experience in this field. What kind of extensive experience? If they have so much extensive experience, don't you think that Jordan and Egypt will be crime free? But that's not the case. Now, this force will be long term internal security solution. Internal, so internal to what? Israel or internal to Gaza? Is Gaza is gonna be part of Israel, or is Gaza gonna be independent country or something else? So there is no answer to that. It's just simply that Gaza will not be controlled by Israel or annexed by Israel is the statement. Okay. So Israel will work, ISAF will work with Israel and Egypt to help secure border areas, blah, blah, blah. With newly trained Palestinian police forces, it is critical to prevent munitions from entering Gaza to facilitate the rapid and secure flow of food to rebuild and revitalize Gaza. The deconfliction mechanism will be agreed upon by the parties. Israel will not occupy or annex Gaza as the ISF establishes control and stability. The IDF will withdraw based on standards. So IDF withdraw is conditional. That's another thing. And what basically is what this whole board of peace is going to do is that until the whole Hamas thing and until there is a solution, until there is a solution to Palestinian and Israeli problem, board of peace will just be there. That's what they're saying. Okay. So the way I am seeing it is this. Uh, that this was done to make this whole entire issue, okay, local to Israel, make it a Israel's internal issue, remove it from the United Nations altogether. Okay, that's why this board of peace got commissioned from United Nations Security Council 2803. Okay, and board of peace is formed. Now board of peace will do its own thing while United Nations is saying, yeah, that's all right, you guys do whatever. Okay, so now no other country outside the board of peace is going to say that it belongs to this and it belongs to that and blah blah blah. Okay, Israel will do its own thing. Israel's people will go and work in Gaza, of course, because at the end of the day, who manages the area is not important as long as the area is not a threat to Israel. Okay, and when that happens, then Israel is just gonna utilize it commercially for commercial purposes. But the question again remains that how long this is going to last. Can Israel trust this thing in these type of, and those are the questions that needs to be answered. And considering that America's waning power, the influence and all that, nobody listens nowadays, right? So after 3 years, whomever becomes the president will basically decide the future of this board of peace and whatnot. Why? Because uh, all these presidents. So let's say some Democrat becomes a president. What they're going to do? First thing first, they will go and undo everything that President Trump has done. Yeah, board of peace. We don't know the future regardless, but what they will do is they're gonna go over there, and they will do something in the board of peace that for it to become irrelevant, just like ICC. Okay, so this is why I don't see much future in it, and I don't see uh, any permanent solution to this thing. Only things I'm seeing is that they had just postponed the problem. Why? Because President Trump said before the election that, hey, I will end the war in Gaza too. So now he's trying to do something so that at least he can say, hey, look, I did it, right? So it is more of his own personal interest than actually a solution. And uh, and the other thing is that why Israel is going with it is simply because Israel is trying to avoid the international pressure and the internationalization of this whole entire thing. And you know how it is that like all these countries, they start to immediately go after Israel. Everybody start to show support and this and that, right? So all that will be gone from this point on, and that was the goal that Israel always wanted to achieve, that there is some sort of international support, and if it's not support, then at least there is neutrality on this issue, right? And that's what they're gonna gain with this thing, even though temporarily, but they will gain it nonetheless. All right. So this is it for this video, guys, and I will talk to you guys in another video. Please do like and subscribe, and take care.